publicize it if anything happened to him. Data on the subject, the stolen file.
Jump in 10 seconds.
It details the incomplete process of synthesizing a cure for the virus. If implemented in its current state, the produced substance may be extremely toxic.
Now.
Also, the file contains full description of the virion structure. Any attempt to use it would result in countless lives lost. It must be recovered.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for assembling on short notice. As stated in your pre-briefing packets, today's agenda is a comprehensive post-mortem of Operation Falling Sun. This operation was centred around Agent Kyle Crane, designation 739K, and his deployment to the quarantine zone of Harran. It is imperative that we examine not only his tactical performance, but also the broader implications his actions had on global containment strategy, GRE integrity, and the evolving future of biohazard protocols. We begin with the descent. Crane was deployed via aerial insertion into Sector 0 of Harran on April 15, 2015. His objective was classified Tier 3. Retrieve a stolen GRE file containing sensitive research on the THV pathogen, which had been appropriated by a former GRE consultant, Kadir Suleiman, operating under the alias Rais. The file, if leaked, would have compromised ongoing vaccine development, exposed covert GRE trials, and opened the organisation to global sanctions. Elimination of the asset was considered secondary, but permissible depending on opportunity and mission stability. Initial insertion conditions were hostile. Within 14 minutes of landing, Crane was bitten by an infected subject. GRE extraction protocols mandate immediate retrieval of compromised agents, but Crane invoked contingency clause Delta 7, choosing to remain embedded to fulfill mission objectives. He was administered a limited cache of antizin, a temporary suppressant developed in early-stage THV research. From that moment, Agent Crane became a functioning infected with fluctuating viral resistance. He was unstable but mission critical. Instead of initiating direct contact with the primary target, Crane aligned himself with local survivors operating from a high-rise shelter referred to as the Tower. This civilian enclave was informally led by a former athlete-turned-community figure named Brecken. During this phase, Crane began integrating into the social structure of the group. He performed medical supply runs, led search and rescue operations, and facilitated territorial negotiations with rival survivor factions. None of these activities aligned with his operational directives. GRE analysts flagged this behavioral shift by day 6 post-insertion. Psychological markers showed elevated empathic resonance and declining mission adherence. Surveillance logs captured multiple instances of Crane voicing concern over GRE's antizin rationing policy and suspect containment practices. He was, by all observable measures, undergoing a complete loyalty realignment. The breach point came on day 17 post-insertion. Crane successfully infiltrated Rice's compound and retrieved the full copy of the GRE data packet. During the operation, Kadir Suleiman was eliminated, status deceased. Crane was ordered to exfiltrate and return the data for processing. Instead, he made a unilateral decision to destroy the files, broadcasting a live message wherein he accused GRE of instigating, then perpetuating the THV outbreak for experimental gains. He labelled the Harran quarantine zone a controlled testing environment. His exact words, "We were the experiment. We were never meant to survive." The GRE file was permanently lost. Let there be no ambiguity. Crane's decision was an unambiguous act of treason. His betrayal invalidated years of covert research and disqualified the GRE from international virology consortiums. Containment efforts in Harran collapsed. THV mutation vectors surged as global entities ceased all cooperation with GRE epidemiological branches. We experienced cascading failures across multiple black sites. 4 were decommissioned, 3 lead researchers resigned or disappeared under classified circumstances. Crane himself vanished. However, 63 days post-breach, a signal was triangulated from Harran's outer perimeter, Sector X. It originated from a local radio relay, transmitting encrypted Morse, a format tied to Crane's GRE training. Upon investigation, we found trace evidence of Crane embedded among a religious cult, identified as the Children of the Sun. This group practiced ritualistic behavior and exhibited anomalous immunity to THV symptoms. Intelligence suggested they had developed a unique metabolic adaptation or were utilizing a previously unknown chemical agent. Crane's interaction with the group was extensive. Their leader, a female figure known only as the Mother, claimed to have developed spiritual and biochemical harmonization with the virus. Crane, in seeking immunity, willingly participated in their rites, ingesting a compound later identified as Echo 16. This solution was a condensed THV strain with neurological amplification properties. Post-consumption footage indicates heightened aggression, nocturnal resilience, and possible telepathic rapport with infected subjects. It is unknown whether Crane maintained cognitive independence following the transformation. This brings us to the event horizon. Crane faced 2 choices. First, destroy the cult's dam, flooding the region and disrupting the spread of THV-laced spores at the expense of dozens, possibly hundreds of civilian lives. Second, embrace the cult's philosophy, surrendering his remaining humanity to become a being of viral hybridization. We do not possess full footage of his final hours. However, his last transmission, recorded on a decrypted emergency beacon, was as follows. I understand now. There is no cure, only choice. At precisely 2300 hours local time, seismographs registered a detonation consistent with high-yield explosives placed within the dam's structural support. The surrounding area experienced a 3-hour surge in biohazard classification before returning to baseline levels. No survivors were extracted. Crane's body was never found. His GRE tracking implant ceased transmission. Official status, KIA or converted. And yet, his influence endures. Despite operational failure, Crane proved that long-term suppression of THV is achievable without antizin. The Echo 16 compound, recovered under strict quarantine, is under examination at GRE Facility 14. Initial results show potential for passive immunity development in subjects with specific genetic markers. Moreover, Crane's decision matrix during infiltration continues to serve as a case study in moral flexibility, human deviation under biostress, and the critical limits of remote mission control. What remains unresolved is the legacy. Crane began as a vector for containment. He became a symbol of resistance, both to the GRE and to the virus itself. In attempting to neutralize a threat, we may have inadvertently catalyzed evolution. For some, he is remembered as a martyr, for others as a traitor. In GRE records, he is both. His profile remains open, his psychological file is under level 6 encryption. His blood sample, if located, would be the most valuable bioasset in our history. Unconfirmed reports persist. Across multiple post-Harran quarantine zones, civilians and operators alike have described encounters with a lone infected capable of coordinated movement, strategic evasion, and most alarmingly, non-feral reasoning. This entity is frequently described as humanoid, agile and silent. Locals call it the Runner. We suspect it is either Crane or a second-generation mutation originating from his unique strain. Recovered intelligence includes partial recordings, sketches made by civilians, and corrupted drone footage. One recording features an isolated voice repeating the same phrase in English: "I'm still here." GRE analysis has determined a 92% vocal match to Agent Crane. If this is true, then Crane represents the bleeding edge of viral evolution. He is the singularity, the merging point between human intelligence and viral resilience. Whether he is asset, anomaly, or abomination remains to be determined. Until further notice, treat all runner sightings as top-tier intelligence events. Do not engage, do not contain, observe and extract data only. Under no circumstances is lethal force to be used without board authorization. In closing, Operation Falling Sun did not achieve its stated goals. It failed to recover the GRE file. It failed to contain the outbreak. It failed to silence the subject. But it succeeded in revealing the truth. We are no longer in control. Kyle Crane was our creation, a trained operative designed for precision. But in the crucible of Harran, he became something else: an outlier, a mirror, a warning. His story is not an operational failure, it is a prophecy. And now we wait, watching the shadows for what comes next. This concludes the briefing. Prepare for classified Q&A. Security protocols Delta Red are now in effect. All recording devices must be deactivated. End of transmission.